Crunchyroll's multi-billion-dollar anime streaming empire is at risk of collapsing after they spent the last decade engulfed in non-stop controversies and crimes. That severities range from dumb, avoidable decisions to them allegedly breaking several federal laws that made victims out of their own fans and employees. After months of research, this is the story of the dark rise of Crunchyroll, every one of their crimes and controversies explained. Crunchyroll started off in 2006 as a passion project by a few university students who wanted to create a site where anime fans could watch anime for free and in a timely manner. The anime on this site was taken right from Japanese TV, and the subtitles were 100% fan-made. As of today, Crunchyroll is the world's largest legal streaming platform, but back at its origin, it was a straight-up piracy site. This is a fact that Crunchyroll tries to bury. They didn't have any license or permission, but there was one thing they did have, and that was massive cojones. If Naruto or Bleach aired in Japan on a Wednesday, you could watch it on Crunchyroll sitting anywhere in the world on Thursday morning. That's how fast the service was. Sure, the anime uploaded on the site back then were low quality and illegal, but fans still loved it. You see, what made Crunchyroll different from the other anime piracy sites at the time were two things in particular. One, they were a lot more brazen than their competitors. They didn't just stop at hosting illegal anime episodes, but also Korean and live action dramas, as well as video game content and music videos. If I'm being honest, their concept was ahead of its time, as the site was basically a fusion of YouTube, Newgrounds, and Netflix. I mean, Netflix just relatively recently started investing tons of money into licensing Asian dramas, but Crunchyroll's founders foresaw Western interest in all things Asian media related 2 decades earlier. The second reason anime fans like the original Crunchyroll site so much is because besides being a haven for the growing number of otakus in the West, it was also extremely community focused with lots of community building features. There were comment sections and forums built right into the site where fans could gather and discuss anime related topics like their thoughts on recent episodes, theories, and or just hang out and chat with their fellow weebs who visited the site daily. Remember, anime was nowhere near as popular back then. It was a niche hobby. So for lots of anime fans, online spaces like Crunchyroll were the only way they had to meet other anime fans. The reason it was so important to explain how and why Crunchyroll's original site blew up in the first place is because the longer this video goes on, the more ironic and sad the current way the company is being run becomes. Over the next couple years, Crunchyroll's site starts to attract more and more daily visitors, largely off the back of their fans who did the subtitles for free on all their videos. Now, I couldn't find exactly how many eyeballs Crunchyroll had amassed at the time, but it must have been a lot because out of nowhere, something happened that would shock the global anime community. The venture capitalist firm Venrock, the same investors that's behind companies like Apple, gave $4 million to Crunchyroll in 2008. I'm assuming based on Crunchyroll showing them proof of their site's high traffic, and based on their next move, their plan to go legit, that's the only way I can see a legit company like Venrock giving that much money to what a lot of companies will perceive as criminals. Regardless of what happened, all of a sudden this underdog piracy site fighting to feed broke anime fans daily doses of their favorite shows went legal. What Crunchyroll realized is if they wanted to make real money off their newfound brand recognition, they needed to clean up their image in the eyes of the Japanese companies that that hold the rights to all the biggest anime. Because if they played their cards right, they could be the flagship anime streaming site that could capitalize off the Western anime boom they rightfully predicted was approaching. The very first thing Crunchyroll did after cashing their $4 million check was delete all of their pirated content and the thousands of fan-made subtitles along with it. They purged the entire site. Their community was understandably enraged and confused. But what happened next, no one saw coming. Crunchyroll's rebrand worked. On January 8th, 2009, Crunchyroll announced that they had signed a deal with TV Tokyo to begin simulcasting episodes of Naruto Shippuden. This was massive news. Naruto was by far the most popular anime at the time. Crunchyroll had just caught their golden goose and they weren't looking back. As time went on and Crunchyroll acquired the rights to host more and more sought after anime titles, fans started to forgive them. I mean, yeah, it sucked they had to pay a small fee for something they used to get free, but Crunchyroll was building a reputation of selecting the exact right shows to license that their fans wanted to see. Plus, by watching Crunchyroll's new legal service, they were in theory directly supporting the creators of the series they enjoyed so much. So it was kind of a net positive. And they not only had the same community features the fans enjoyed before, but Crunchyroll was also adding new services like Crunchyroll Manga and a digital storefront. And so that's how in just 2 mildly controversial years, Crunchyroll became the best and most popular legal streaming site for anime and was able to rebuild a bridge of goodwill with their community of pirates after betraying them by going legit. With that being said, the rest of this video is going to be how Crunchyroll would spend every year since then seemingly purposefully setting fire to that goodwill with endless controversies and crimes, causing backlash so severe their entire anime empire is at risk of crumbling. Sony buys Crunchyroll. After a few years of exponential growth in both subscribers and influence, the first major red flag I remember hearing regarding Crunchyroll's decision making was rumors that Sony Pictures Television was petitioning to acquire them. Most people assumed this was just false gossip because Sony already owned the only other major anime streaming service that could actually be considered real competition to Crunchyroll, a company called Funimation. Funimation had been acquired by Sony years before, and though Funimation shared a similar demographic as Crunchyroll, they focused on catering to the anime fans who preferred the characters they watched to be speaking a language they could understand, aka dubbed anime. Funimation, the company, has been around even before their streaming service and rebrand launched. Before they became Funimation Now, they was the company that first helped Dragon Ball syndicate on Western TV in the 1990s via their partnership with Cartoon Network's Toonami segment. After Dragon Ball became the segment's highest rated show, Funimation was able to acquire the licensing rights to a lot of popular anime, which means eventually Sony acquired the rights to a lot of popular anime. So by the time Crunchyroll and Funimation Now was considered rivals, Crunchyroll had a monopoly over the fans who preferred English sub, as well as the ones who liked niche or lesser known series, whereas Funimation Now, aka Sony, had a monopoly over the anime fans who preferred English dubs, as well as the ones who preferred mainstream anime, since Sony owned the rights to many of them. Now, because of a future controversy, it's important to mention that Funimation also offered an extra service that Crunchyroll didn't, and that was the ability to buy digital copies of your favorite anime, which was cool because, as I'm sure you're already aware, these streaming companies gain and lose their rights to stream specific shows and movies all the time. What I hate the most is when they have like one season on one platform and another season on a different platform. So being able to buy your favorites so you can have them forever ever was pretty cool. Keep this in mind for later. Every single anime fan who heard the rumors of the merger and was aware of why real monopolies are terrible for consumers knew immediately how bad it would be for the community, which is why controversy erupted online when on August 12th, 2020, the tech publisher The Information reported that Sony was indeed in final talks to acquire Crunchyroll for over $1 billion. That's a billion with a B. Sony gaining a complete monopoly over the entire wide range of anime fans in the West was such a obvious bad idea that not only was anime fans pissed, but the United States Justice Department extended their review of the attempted merger as they were understandably worried it violated antitrust laws and gave Sony too much power in the anime streaming space. These are the same laws that prevent things like Coca-Cola being allowed to buy Pepsi. If big companies were allowed to just buy up all their competition, they would be able to control us more than they already do. Having at least two big dogs in any market keeps the prices down, keeps them innovating, and just keeps corporations on their toes in general. Recently, the same Department of Justice asked the courts to force Google's parent company to sell off Google Chrome because they felt like it had a monopoly over the search engine market. But unfortunately for anime fans, the Department of Justice sided against the consumers in the Sony Crunchyroll case through what I could only allegedly assume was the result of some sort of backroom deals with alleged bribes or alleged payoffs. Allegedly, in my opinion. What's really crazy is that Sony wasted no time at all proving everyone's fears to be justified, as they immediately took all the various anime streaming services owned by Sony and Crunchyroll and combined them under the Crunchyroll umbrella. This resulted in all the non-Crunchyroll platforms being shut down, really rubbing off in our faces they won. Sony doing the fusion technique dance with all of their anime streaming platforms was just the tip of their drama iceberg, as it leads us right into their next controversies. Price hikes. Immediately after the merger, Crunchyroll announced its first ever price hike in 5 years. According to Crunchyroll, the price increase would affect over 36 countries. They announced that the Mega fan tier will be increasing from $9.99 a month to $11.99 a month, and the Ultimate fan tier will be increasing from $14.99 a month to $15.99 a month, with the yearly subscription doubling from $54.95 to $100. Both Crunchyroll's longtime subscribers and their new ones they obtained via buying Funimation were irate. They were paying more because of a business decision they had no say in. But it actually gets worse, because following the price increase announcement, the real controversy came when Crunchyroll sneakily informed their subscribers that anyone who had bought any digital copies of anime over the years through Funimation would lose all access to it. But did you know that even though Crunchyroll keeps increasing their subscription prices, here on this channel, it's still 100% free to subscribe and like the video, which will put the deepest dives into all things anime and manga directly onto your YouTube feed. And any follow-up videos about if Crunchyroll sends any of their lawyer assassins after me, Nintendo style. Removal of purchased content. In short, thousands of ex-Funimation subscribers' anime and film purchases disappeared into thin air after Crunchyroll sent out a message that basically said, so you know how some of you have been buying digital copies of your favorite anime for years now, helping both support the platform and your favorite anime's creators? Well, we definitely won't be honoring that purchase, and oh yeah, by the way, you get no refunds. So just to conceptualize what was happening, at the same time Crunchyroll was increasing its pricing, they were also deleting some of their customers' purchased copies of media, just treating their customers like dirty little pay pigs who really had nowhere else to go if they wanted to support anime legally. Crunchyroll had started taking its fans for granted, only paying attention to how they could drive in more and more wealth at their expense, even if that meant screwing their subscribers over or stealing from them.
I love stealing. I love taking things.
This bad habit of theirs would only get worse. The class action lawsuit. In 2023, Crunchyroll was hit with yet another PR disaster. Crunchyroll was accused of sharing its users' anime viewing histories with third parties without any proper consent. This included companies like Google, Adobe, Meta, etc. Now, that accusation was no small issue. If true, it was a federally illegal privacy violation. They were allegedly collecting their paid subscribers' personal information and selling it for profit to the biggest companies in the world, all without disclosing this in their TOS. Later that same year, the accusations would seemingly be confirmed after Crunchyroll would settle the class action lawsuit, basically admitting they did indeed violate the United States Video Privacy Act. After learning about this privacy breach, Crunchyroll's users completely lost their minds. It felt like they were being tracked and their anime watching habits were being sold off to random advertisers. And if you know anime fans, their watch history being leaked isn't a good thing.
No. Wait.
We all, and yes I mean all including you, have those anime I call guilty pleasure anime. The ones you delete from your watch history after you finish them. Well, thanks to Crunchyroll exposing its fans, they had no idea who all had whole profiles built on their watching habits and personal information. This is another example of a completely avoidable controversy. Anyway, this betrayal caused severe backlash that further damaged Crunchyroll's reputation. It was becoming obvious to Crunchyroll subscribers that they were just a number that the company would squeeze for as much profit as possible, even if that meant bending or breaking laws. Honestly, I'm starting to think Crunchyroll likes being engulfed in drama because as of the 2020s, they are on a generational run of brand destroying decisions as well as have been exposed by ex-employee whistleblowers for how horrible the company allegedly is to its workers and freelancers. As we mentioned, by this point, Crunchyroll was bringing in insane amounts of moolah, but apparently that cheddar cheese did not roll downhill. Reports started coming out that alleged Crunchyroll severely underpaid its voice actors and its translators slash localizers, sometimes paying them half of what's industry standard. These specific roles are basically the backbone of this type of company. Without them, Crunchyroll would just be a place where you would have to watch anime with a Japanese audio and Japanese subtitles. Trying to understand how Crunchyroll treats its employees leads us to one of their most high-profile controversies that sent shockwaves through the anime community: union busting and the Kyle McCarley drama. Kyle McCarley is a respected American voice actor known for his work in many popular anime and video games, but he is probably best known for his role as the voice of Kageyama, the protagonist of Mob Psycho 100, one of my personal favorite anime and manga. I did an entire deep dive into its creator. It's one of my favorite videos I've ever done, and so as an expert in all things mob, I can confidently say Kyle did an outstanding job bringing one of my favorite characters to life. Mob Psycho 100's anime adaptation was without a doubt a hit for Crunchyroll, as both a fan favorite and award-winning series, which is why fans of the anime were shocked when it was announced in September 2022 Kyle McCarley's contract to voice Kageyama would not be renewed by Crunchyroll. Simply put, they fired him. After the news went public, Kyle would actually post a heartfelt video on his YouTube channel explaining his side of the story. I don't see this happen often, but I really appreciated it. In the video, Kyle touches on just how much he loved his role as Kageyama and how he resonated with this role more than any other he has ever done. However, because he is a member of SAG-AFTRA, Crunchyroll doesn't want to work with him. SAG-AFTRA is a union that protects actors from discrimination, being underpaid, and their other rights being violated, as is very common in the art and entertainment industry. What really upset mob fans is that in the video, Kyle made it clear that it wasn't about the money. money. It was just that it was really important to him that the show was produced on a union contract, because unions only work when its members hold their ground against union busting attempts. And Crunchyroll in particular already had a history of accusations of anti-union practices, dating back to right after the pandemic, when they shifted back to studio recording from at-home recording, but instead of hiring their normal voice actors and freelancers, they started to primarily hire Texas-based actors. Since Texas is a right-to-work state, the coalition of dubbing actors alleged that this policy shift was an attempt to thwart union organizing among dubbing actors, and so the coalition encouraged them to pressure Crunchyroll to sign a union contract with SAG-AFTRA. FYI, right-to-work states' laws prohibit union security agreements between employees and labor unions. Companies that operate in these states can fire the employee and then just lie about why, no explanation required. This acts as a deterrent to stop other employees from speaking up. So this is why it's so important that prominent actors speak up when things like this happen, because lesser known employees' complaints will just be swept under the rug. In the video, Kyle says that for 99% of the work that he has done, the first time the company refused to even talk to him or SAG representatives about the issue would have been the end of the conversation, and he would have parted ways of his own volition, because it's just better for both parties, since they obviously have different values and he doesn't want to waste either party's time. But he was such a fan of this project and loved his role so much, he tried to compromise in ways I thought was incredibly fair.
With 99.9% of the work that I do, that would be the end of the conversation for me. I would say, thank you very much for the opportunity, but I don't work non-union. It seemed like maybe there was an opportunity to change that. So I went back to Crunchyroll with the offer that I would agree to work on this season of this show, non-union, on the condition that they agree to sit down and meet with SAG-AFTRA representatives with the purposes of negotiating a potential contract for them to use on future productions. That's all I was asking. Not a commitment to definitely guaranteed make such an agreement happen, not a commitment to definitely guarantee using such an agreement if it came into existence, just an agreement to good faith negotiations, an agreement to sit down and have a conversation on their own terms.
The blowback Crunchyroll got from this controversy was pretty intense, because it exposed Crunchyroll's overall lack of empathy and willingness to do the bare minimum when it came to their employees. If they was cutthroat enough to fire one of their most high profile and beloved workers over not wanting to have a conversation, it makes you wonder how they treat their lesser known workers and talent. It just sucks that instead of even trying to resolve the issue, they would opt to leave a stain on one of their most beloved anime. Some fans even protested by not watching Mob's third season altogether. This whole situation showed that not only did current Crunchyroll seem to not care about their fans, but their workers either. But what's really concerning is that this next wild controversy shows that maybe they haven't cared in a long time. The Flabbergasting David Wald controversy. This conflict encompasses 5 years of Crunchyroll wrongdoings, and in my opinion involves them breaking the federal law again. David is another respected voice actor that worked for Crunchyroll. He has voiced in many popular anime like Fairy Tail, Attack on Titan, Vinland Saga, My Hero Academia, and probably 100 more series and games. His name holds a lot of weight in the VA community, which is why it was massive news when in October 2024, Wald accused Crunchyroll via Twitter of opening and stealing his private mail, throwing away his letters from his fans, and distributing any and all the included items and gifts to Crunchyroll staff. To make matters worse, he alleged this had been going on for the past 5 years. In another one of his expose tweets, Wald attached a picture of a bunch of handmade gifts from a group of his fans that he never received. The only reason he found out about this particular care package package is because one of the fans who helped put it together reached out, sending him the pics and the tracking number. The fan also quote retweeted the post expressing how much effort went into making it and how heartbreaking it is that he never received it. I just want to say that potential broken mail laws aside, this was such a weird thing to do. Like at the bare minimum, Crunchyroll could have just told David and their other workers that was getting mail sent there to come pick up the first package they received, but inform them to not get any more mail sent to their office in the future. Or they could have just sent out a mass email to all of their employees saying they shouldn't get mail sent there, if that's something that management didn't like. Look, I'm not sure what the best solution could have been, but I'm positive the worst choice was to steal their employees' mail and redistribute it to their friends and their trash can. This drama went mega viral. It was trending on Twitter. There were dozens of articles and YouTube videos made about it. And as a result of the drama, David eventually left his role as Gajio Red Fox and the Crunchyroll company completely, which does make sense considering during his tweeting spree, David also alleged that Crunchyroll's work environment was abusive and hostile before he even found out they were stealing from him. So the mail theft was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Even though David didn't provide any proof about the general toxicity of the Crunchyroll workplace, I believe him because there has been other ex-Crunchyroll workers that have spoken out saying similar things, including one who alleged he was offered a severance check in exchange for his silence. The former Crunchyroll software engineer claimed in a LinkedIn post that after his mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer, making it, quote, the worst year of his life, he was eventually diagnosed with major depression disorder, and so he shared his diagnosis with Crunchyroll, his employer who he claims he gave his all to, working most nights and weekends driven by the passion the fans have for the platform. After Crunchyroll received the news about Sean's mental health struggles, instead of support, he alleges he received hostility, was met with organized ostracization, verbal abuse, and eventually termination. If true, this is straight up evil. The translator controversies. For years, there were reports that Crunchyroll paid its translators a mere $80 an episode. Even if that number has increased some as of today, it's still a pathetic number for how much work goes into translation and localization. Translators don't just translate. They have to research whatever topic the anime is about in both cultures and make sure the phrases, jargon, and jokes land and mean the same thing. Just imagine how hard and different of a task it is to do localization from everything between shows about science like Dr. Stone and a cooking show like Food Wars. Bad localization can even ruin a good anime. I know I reference 4Kids a lot in my videos, but they have such good examples for these topics, like the infamous Pokemon Onigiri Jelly Donut incident.
These donuts are great! Jelly-filled are my favorite! Nothing beats a jelly-filled donut.
After years of backlash for underpaying their translators, Crunchyroll would finally make some changes to their translator program, but unfortunately, it would be by diving headfirst into one of the most polarizing topics in any artistic field: AI. Crunchyroll's AI-generated subtitles. With the rise of artificial intelligence, Crunchyroll decided to try their luck with it in an attempt to pay even less for translations. First off, AI in general is a controversial topic when it comes to do with anything art or media related. So in 2024, when Crunchyroll's CEO literally put out a statement admitting that AI generated subtitles are, quote, definitely an area we're focused on, it was of course another PR crap storm for them. But honestly, no one was really surprised. Many anime fans had already begun pointing out the soulless and lazy translations Crunchyroll have been putting out recently. If you look up Crunchyroll AI translations, there are a lot of fans out there that have caught a plethora of examples in anime they love. Alright, get ready to pay attention because this next controversy might be the one that pissed off Crunchyroll fans the most and is the one that is the most telling in terms of how out of touch with its users Crunchyroll has become. Crunchyroll's continuous removal of key features. The two most triggering removals was definitely when they discontinued the Crunchyroll manga service and when they decided to remove all the comment sections from their entire platform. First off, the Crunchyroll manga reading service was one of the main things that somewhat justified Crunchyroll's rising prices, because at least you got an extra major service that the other cheaper streaming sites didn't offer. I'm sure this decision did save Crunchyroll money because of course they kept their prices the same, but now they didn't have to pay for any manga licensing rights. However, it's not like they passed on that savings onto the consumer. Crunchyroll was dragged for this decision, but it was when they removed their comment sections that so much user outrage hit the internet that I still don't know if they'll ever recover PR-wise. Let me explain why. Crunchyroll stated the reason they removed the ability to comment from all of their individual episodes is because some toxic anime fans were hate review bombing a comment section of a new Crunchyroll BL anime called Twilight Out of Focus. And so they had to take some action against the people that were not criticizing the show, but was using the situation as an excuse to be bigots, which, don't get me wrong, does suck. And as a private company, they do have the right to handle situations like this however they see fit. But personally, I can't help but feel that removing the ability to leave comments and criticize in general was something that Crunchyroll wanted to do for a while. And this was their chance to do it, but try to look like the good guys doing it for the fans and not for financial reasons. Their statement reminded me of whenever YouTube removed the dislike button and said it was for YouTubers' mental health. No, the reason was because whenever big corporations or celebrities dropped a YouTube video that got a bunch of dislikes, it hurt their feelings, and then they called up YouTube and complained about it. I would bet that there were similar conversations that happened with Crunchyroll execs anytime an anime got negative reviews. This is one of Crunchyroll's bad decisions that affected me personally, because I am one of those people that would start an anime and head to the comments of the first episode or an extra good or bad episode to see if other viewers thought the same thing or different than I did about a specific topic. To those who didn't partake in this, it might seem like one of the more trivial controversies, but for a lot of Crunchyroll subscribers, this community feature was the heart of what made the Crunchyroll community different than that of the other platforms that was building up their own impressive library of anime, like HIDIVE, Netflix, and Hulu, etc. Before, if the same anime was on Crunchyroll and another platform at the same time, I would actively choose to watch it on Crunchyroll because their comment section made it feel more like a group activity between anime fans. This was the final FU to any original Crunchyroll members that still use the site as a place for anime fans to share their love of the medium. And you want to know something ironic? Arguably, Crunchyroll caused most of these problems themselves because they sold out to that corpo greed. But based on recent events, those same connections might be the ones putting the nail in their coffin. Crunchyroll is officially at risk of losing the goodwill they have with Japanese anime corporations. Several of Japan's largest anime companies have started to voice their concerns about Crunchyroll's never-ending reach and influence over anime. For example, Toho, one of Japan's most popular production companies, directly accused Crunchyroll of purposely hindering the promotion of the highly anticipated anime Dandadan. Basically, even though the hype for Dandadan was extremely high before and during its season 1 premiere, Crunchyroll allegedly refused to properly promote it for personal reasons. Toho, Toei, and top manga publishers are arguing that the total monopoly Crunchyroll has over a large percentage of the world's anime fans and anime is a serious problem, and their repeated shocking mismanagement of popular anime titles proves it. I found one article that claims that Crunchyroll now controls a mind-blowing 75% of all anime. Crunchyroll is so addicted to controversy that even in the process of me making this video, another controversy broke regarding the most recent Crunchyroll awards when veteran anime YouTuber Glass Reflection seemingly confirmed what a lot of anime fans already felt, that the anime awards are basically rigged for whatever anime is the most popular. He was actually a judge on this year's awards awards. And on the quest for the best podcast, he goes into detail about how awful Crunchyroll's award winner process is, since the system is severely biased towards whatever anime is the most popular, because their whole system is biased in nature to make it where the most popular anime will win. This is for the benefit of Crunchyroll and the news networks that review anime, because if less popular anime win, they will get less clicks on their articles on their website about the winners. And wouldn't you know, some of the judges also work for these same anime reviewing websites. The real problem is if Crunchyroll is corrupt from the platform level to their work environment to their award shows, because they are such corpo money hungry sluts, they will do whatever makes them the most money 100% of the time. I fear they might be beyond saving at this point, which explains why anime pirate sites have seen a surge in popularity for the first time in a decade. One of these ARG sites has garnered so many new viewers, it surpassed both Crunchyroll and Disney Plus in monthly visits. Given Crunchyroll's own origins, it's ironic they are fumbling the anime fans who like to stream legally and are playing a hand in the revival of a golden age of pirates. But you know what they say, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And recently Crunchyroll proved that they was the real anime villains all along, because instead of fixing their own shortcomings to combat the rise in popularity of pirating, they launched over 680 million URL takedown requests in an attempt to just crush these sites, who are really just doing the same thing that gave them their start. But this just further proves how out of touch they really are with anime fans, because it's not that they are just selling the high seas again because it's cheaper. It's because they are disappointed with the direction Crunchyroll has been headed. I know this because they are also starting to lose the legal anime streaming wars as well. Bloomberg put out a report that speculates that Crunchyroll's early lead in anime is under attack because of services like Netflix and Hulu and other sites cutting into their market share more and more every day. Just like you gained my respect by making it to the very end of this video. Drop sushi roll in the comments, the word or the emoji, so I know you're one of the real ones.